White House release published Sunday, October 26, 2025. Agreement between the United States of America and the Kingdom of Cambodia on reciprocal trade. The United States and Cambodia have agreed to strengthen their trade relationship. The agreement focuses on shared values, economic prosperity, and resilient supply chains. Both countries will address tariff and non-tariff barriers and align on economic security. Cambodia will apply specific customs duties to U.S. goods, while the U.S. will apply reciprocal tariffs to Cambodian goods. Cambodia will not impose quotas on U.S. imports unless both countries agree otherwise. Import licensing will not be used to restrict U.S. goods, and any non-automatic licensing must be transparent and fair. U.S. goods meeting U.S. or international standards can enter Cambodia without extra requirements. Cambodia will treat U.S. conformity assessment bodies as favorably as its own. Technical regulations will not restrict trade, and unnecessary barriers will be removed. For agriculture, Cambodia will provide non-discriminatory access for U.S. goods and ensure sanitary measures are science-based. Cambodia will not make agreements with third countries that disadvantage U.S. exports. The agreement ensures fairness in protecting geographical indications and allows the use of certain terms for U.S. goods when appropriate. Cambodia will provide strong protection for intellectual property, join key treaties, and enforce rights at borders and online. It will act against copyright and trademark infringements. Cambodia will not impose new barriers that treat U.S. service suppliers less favorably than domestic or third-country suppliers. Good regulatory practices for transparency and predictability will be adopted. Cambodia will prohibit imports made with forced labor and may act on U.S. findings about such entities. Labor rights will be protected, labor laws enforced, and legal sanctions maintained for violations. Cambodia commits not to weaken labor protections to attract trade or investment, and will work with the U.S. on labor issues affecting trade reciprocity. Cambodia will adopt and enforce environmental protections, maintain strong governance, and address environmental issues that affect trade with the United States. In customs and trade facilitation, Cambodia will implement technology for paperless trade and digital procedures within 5 years. Transparency in tariffs and improved dispute resolution for tariff classifications will be ensured. For border measures and taxes, Cambodia will consult with the United States if the U.S. adopts border measures to prevent regulatory arbitrage. Cambodia will not challenge U.S. tax measures at the World Trade Organization and will not impose discriminatory value-added taxes on U.S. companies. In digital trade and technology, Cambodia will not impose digital services taxes that discriminate against U.S. companies. Digital trade will be facilitated, free data transfers allowed, and cooperation on cybersecurity with the United States will occur. Cambodia will consult with the United States before entering digital trade agreements that could affect U.S. interests. Cambodia will not require U.S. businesses to transfer technology or proprietary knowledge as a condition for market entry, except in specific legal investigations with safeguards against unauthorized disclosure. No customs duties will be imposed on electronic transmissions, and Cambodia supports a permanent moratorium on such duties at the World Trade Organization. Both countries intend for the benefits of this agreement to accrue mainly to them and their nationals. Cambodia may establish rules of origin to ensure this outcome and provide intended tariff treatment to U.S. goods. For economic and national security, when the United States restricts imports from third countries, it will notify Cambodia, which will take similar measures consistent with its sovereignty. At the U.S. request, Cambodia will address unfair practices by third-country companies operating in Cambodia that harm U.S. exports or markets. Cambodia will also adopt similar measures as the United States regarding shipping and shipbuilding. On export controls and sanctions, Cambodia will cooperate with the United States to regulate sensitive technologies and align with U.S. export controls when requested. Transactions with individuals and entities on U.S. sanctions lists will be restricted by Cambodia. At the U.S. request, Cambodia will share information about third-country investment activity in its territory to increase transparency and cooperation on economic and national security matters. If the United States determines that Cambodia is cooperating on shared national and economic security issues, this cooperation may be considered in U.S. export controls and related measures. The United States will work with Cambodia to streamline and enhance defense trade. Cambodia must adopt and enforce measures to prevent evasion of U.S. duties, including illegal transshipment, and enter a duty evasion cooperation agreement with the United States. If Cambodia enters a new trade agreement that the United States believes undermines this agreement or threatens economic or national security, the United States may terminate this agreement as outlined in Article 7.4. Cambodia will allow and facilitate U.S. investment in critical minerals, energy resources, and infrastructure on terms no less favorable than those for Cambodian investors. The United States may support investment financing in Cambodia through institutions like the Export-Import Bank and International Development Finance Corporation, in line with U.S. law. Cambodia will also support job-creating investments in the United States. Cambodia will ensure its State-Owned Enterprises Act according to commercial considerations, and do not discriminate against U.S. goods or services offered on comparable terms. Preferential subsidies to goods producing state-owned enterprises are prohibited, and equal treatment for foreign state-owned and private enterprises under Cambodian investment law is confirmed. If the United States alleges that Cambodia provides non-commercial assistance or subsidies to domestic manufacturers, Cambodia will investigate and share information for discussion. Any significant trade or investment distortions caused by such subsidies will be addressed. Cambodia will purchase originating goods from the United States as set out in the agreement. Annexes and footnotes are part of this agreement. Amendments may be made in writing by both parties, entering into force upon written notification of approval. If either party believes the other has not complied with the agreement, it may review the terms and take action under domestic law, seeking consultations when possible before acting. Either party may terminate the agreement by written notice, with termination taking effect 6 months after notification. When possible, parties should consult before giving notice. The agreement enters into force once both parties have completed internal procedures and notified each other in writing. The agreement was signed in Kuala Lumpur on October 26, 2025, by President Donald J. Trump for the United States of America and Prime Minister Hun Manet for the Kingdom of Cambodia. For this agreement, intellectual property covers all categories listed in Sections 1 through 7 of Part 2 of the World Trade Organization Agreement on trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights. It also includes protection related to technological protection measures and rights management information. Internationally recognized labor rights include those in the International Labor Organization Declaration on Fundamental Principles and Rights at Work, as updated in 2022. This also covers a ban on the worst forms of child labor and ensures acceptable conditions for minimum wages and working hours. Labor protections apply to special economic zones, export processing zones, and sector-specific laws or regulations, even if those areas have weaker labor protections than the rest of the economy. Investment law refers to the Law on Investment of the Kingdom of Cambodia, enacted on October 15, 2021. Non-discriminatory investment incentives under this law are not restricted by this agreement if they do not materially discriminate or distort trade or investment between the two countries. Annex 1, Schedule 1, and Schedule 2 are referenced as part of this agreement. Thanks for listening. The full source material for this summary is in the description below.